Hey builders, Brick Ratty up here with another episode of Collector's Conundrum. I know it's been a while. It's starting to get some more scripted content out there, but today we're going to be going over another aspect of collecting custom minifigures, but doesn't necessarily only relate to custom minifigures, and that is how to display the characters that you buy. Last time we went over where to buy different minifigures, the different types, whether it's UV printed or pad printed, and now it becomes the and then what of collecting. You get all these parts, these figures, where do you put them? I'm going to show you some different options that I've used and some that I might recommend to you as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. And I feel like the first conversation ends up being about the packaging of minifigures, who you're buying from, how they package their minifigures. For the most part, for me, I'm totally fine with just having some loose minifigures. Other times, I'll get maybe two of them, one to stay on the card for a company like Citizen Brick, where you have to damage the packaging to get the minifigure out. If I love the character enough, I'll get a second one. That way you get the full presentation. So some people are going to like these. They come with a peg hole. You can hang it on the wall or something like that. Makes displaying that easy if you just want to hang up a bunch of minifigures on the wall. Other companies will have a sort of reusable packaging, whether it's Jaka with their light carded minifigures like this, where the back just slides out. You can take the minifigure out, put it back in. Does not have a peg hole, unfortunately, but if you just had a shelf and line these up against the wall, that's another good option there. Otherwise, you could take it out, put it on a display case of some sort. We'll take a look at those later. And just like that, and the Citizen Brick one, you get these resealable clamshell packagings as well. Has a peg hole and usually a card of some sort on the back to better display the theming of the minifigure, or they'll have a generic design. And that way you can have a specific packaging for the character, and you can still take it out, put it back in. Makes it better for storage, or like I said, you can hang these on the wall, something like that. But like I said, I take out most of my minifigures from the packaging, and that leads to, again, the question, where do I put these loose minifigures? For some characters it might be easy, like the Spaceman. I might want to toss it in a Lego set. And I know a ton of people have done these classic space minifigure sets like this. That's why I picked up this custom blue one, since it isn't an exact light blue, but it is a lighter blue than the normal blue. And now I have all the colors of the rainbow for this set, basically. And on the other end, for displaying on a build of some sort, for my X-Men minifigures, I usually display them in my Danger Room setup. That way I can get them in action poses, show off the accessories, really display them with their power set. For other minifigures, you might want to put them kind of grouped with characters that relate to them. For Doodle Bob, I'll put them with some other SpongeBob custom minifigures, all of them by SJ Bricks. For the Team Rocket by True Red, I'll put it with some other video game minifigures. So it's right next to Kratos. Last of Us minifigures that I also have, Mario. So keeping the themes together a little bit. But then, you run out of space, you have some extra minifigures, you need to keep buying new display options. And I have some cases that I've used previously to show off today. The first type of minifigure case that I bought were these individual minifigure cases that I bought from Firestar. I put my more expensive minifigures into this solution. And you can really only fit one character. Maybe if there's a dog, you could fit a second one on the front there. But it's going to be a little bit on the limiting side, but if you have a really valuable minifigure that you want in a case by itself to display separately, perfect solution here. Probably better for like a gift or something too. If you toss in a character for somebody as a gift, it's going to be pretty acceptable. And most of my most valuable minifigures are in these. And it is kind of nice. You can stack these next to each other. You can kind of squeeze them together. There is a lot of stress. It'll probably crack them eventually, but the minifigures on the inside aren't going to get damaged. I usually use some jumper plates or just set the minifigure in the case even. I don't move these around too much, so there's not like a safety hazard to the minifigures. And you can see I'm grouping them together by the brands or the characters. I'm not too super particular in that regard, and that's something you need to decide when you're organizing your collection. I think it's actually better to do themes together rather than the companies, since it makes a more coherent display, but that's something I have to decide as I am continuing to change up my displays for my minifigures. And in some specific cases, a custom Lego set or a custom minifigure will come in a very cool package. You're going to want to display the two together, and you have to figure out on your shelving system where you want to put those together. And that way you can put them together, have a nice display, and kind of keep the whole aesthetic together. And while we're on the topic of these individual minifigure cases, it is a pretty easy solution. It uses an official 4x4 Lego plate to put the case over, and it just clicks in with some clutch power. I have another case that uses a very similar solution to this, so let's take a look at those. And you probably saw a glance of these as I was putting those minifigures into their displays earlier, but these are official Lego cases with 16 slots in them, and they use the same 4x4 plates to put characters inside of them. The intended use is to have a single minifigure on the plate and just slide it in. I like these cases because they have the doors that open and close, and you can stack the minifigure cases on top of each other. They are a bit wobbly, but they also have holes in the back. You could hang them on the wall as well, so there's some utility there and options. But you can see I typically display more than one minifigure in these to have more capacity in my displays. Normally, I'll do the 4x4 plate and use those Friends leg pieces to hold my minifigures in. That way the legs aren't getting damaged. And I'll pair a couple of minifigures that match in some way, whether they are full custom minifigures or some of my fig barfs that I threw together with the parts that I have in my collection. And like I said, that way I get twice as many spots in these cases, and I'm able to hold more minifigures, which is kind of the big idea here that I'm showing off in the video. What is the best way to display everything for the best price? You need to consider the individual cases. These are like $5 for one figure, I'm pretty sure. You get one of these cases, it ends up being $35 when it's not on sale, or you can get 3 of them all at once for $90. So if you're doing that, it's $30 each. If you're using it as intended with just the 16 slots, $2 per figure basically, or if you double up on them like I have, ends up being a little less than $1 per figure. Obviously, if you buy them individually, it's going to be more expensive, a little above $1 per minifigure. So that is an option. Like I said, it stacks. You get the nice doors, so it's easy to access your minifigures. You're able to see them all pretty much straight on since there isn't a ton of layering going on. And they are very thin, basically just being maybe 6 studs deep. So an inch to like 1.5 inches probably width-wise, so it doesn't take up a whole lot of table space, which is nice. You can display a lot of minifigures and have it basically flat against the wall, and you can even hang it on the wall, like I said. So there are a lot of positives about these, but you're only able to display at max basically 32 minifigures for one case, which is going to lead me to my reason for making this video today, because I bought brand new display cases for my minifigures to maybe replace these, but also probably just I'll end up using both of them. And these new ones are by Flyingbox, and I got 3 of their acrylic minifigure cases, and each of these is going to hold 72 minifigures and is only $60. When it comes to these, one obvious, I guess, downside, you have to assemble it, but we're in the Lego hobby, so it's just part of the gig. In the box, you get your manual with different steps. Looks like there's a QR code too, so looks like that is for reviewing the product if you have any feedback for them. It seems like they're pretty responsive and have been involved in the custom Lego minifigure community, so very open to ideas, so keep that in mind. And let's just focus on one of these for now. Just get these other ones moved out of the way. Seems like it was packaged pretty well. You know, you get the bubble wrap surrounding it, and there's also a bunch of packing peanuts in the packaging, so you're not going to have to worry about it getting dinged around too much in shipping. Undoing the different pieces of tape holding that in. Looks like everything is also saran wrapped together, so keeps the package together completely. Looks like I did have a couple of tears in the saran wrap on this side. Nothing fell out though, which that's what I'm concerned about. Not really the perfect condition of the packaging. You get the racks for the display stands. A couple different parts for those. Looks like you get some wipes to clean up the plastic when you're putting it together, screws, and what's really interesting is you get enough studs to fill in all the different stands for each minifigure, so you get the whole bag of those. Lots of different parts. I'm gonna go ahead and take these out. One thing I noticed right out the packaging, it looks like it's gonna be all scratched up. There's actually a film over all the parts, and they give you like this razor blade tool. You peel up the corner and end up taking off those protective sheets from all the different parts. Obviously, some of these do have studs in them, so you're gonna have to take those out individually and then put them back in, but you can kind of see the layout for how the minifigures are gonna sit. I got the ones that are at an angle, so that's why they are angled. There's 2 studs on the case right now, but you could also just leave one of them out and then just display each minifigure with one stud, holding them into the case if you really wanted to. And as I'm peeling this out, actually, it is just ripping around the studs, so you don't have to worry about taking those out, which is nice. After you're done peeling the vinyl sheets off, you attach the metal pieces to the corners of two of the sheets. And I figured out another use for the tile. It's also the screwdriver that you use for tightening these, so that's kind of a fun little detail that you can use it for inserting the studs, and then also for tightening the screws. Then connect all of the 4 side panels together, screw them on, and this is where you'll end up deciding how you want to do the lid. You slide it on, and you can screw it onto the corners as well. And then to get into your case, you need to lift up the whole thing, put it back down, which could be a bit tedious, honestly. So it might be better to leave the top unscrewed, or at least lightly screw it. And that way you can just take out the lid, get into the case. So there's a couple options there. Just want to point both of them out. It's going to be personal user preference, what you want to do. I just feel like lifting a whole huge case like this, up and down, up and down, up and down, lining it up at the bottom, getting it locked in, seems a bit more tedious, so I'm probably just going to leave the top unscrewed. On the base, you can see that there are 3 different slots, or collection of slots, and that'll be for each of the racks, which will have 2 different sections in that even for the different stand pieces that come with it, where you'll just slide them together like so. And you just have to do that for each of the 3 different sections to make them go in the base, and then press it into the base. Maybe it is better to put the support stands in before you put in the racks, but pretty easy process so far. I know since everything's reflective, it's a little bit harder to see, but I put the 2 parts in first this time. I'm gonna slide on the rack support over them. I think that is the way to go when you're assembling. After the assembly of the racking system, then it comes to the tedious part where you have to put the studs into the different platforms that you put across. It is nice that the base comes with all the black ones already put in. And this is what I was kind of describing. If you want to do 2 studs in each of these sections for the minifigures, or just fill it in with 1, you can do whatever you want to. And it just presses down onto the pegs again. So super easy process. When it comes to this, it just can be time consuming when you're inserting the studs into each spot. After getting a combination of studs on each row, it's just time to put some minifigs in here. Just put them in. They're at an angle, which is nice. You can see the arm printing if they have it. And you just have to scatter them by different theme. Just toss on some of the minifigures that I got from Brick World. You're going to check out the hauls from that. Check out the playlist in the corner. And you're going to run into some issues probably with accessories, so you have to be a little strategic on where you're putting minifigures. There's a very decent amount of distance between the rows, so minifigures aren't really going to be covering each other. And I picked these angled ones for the weirder, bigger minifigures. I was thinking specifically for the Jin Venom minifigures that I have. So those are able to fit just fine. And as of right now, you can fit 72 minifigures with each one on each individual spot. But like I did with my other cases in the background, I want to see what I can do to maximize the space here. I came up with a couple of solutions, one of which being a 2x3 plate with a 1x2 brick on the back, and basically the same solution, but with a 1x2 plate stacked on top of each other. So 2 of those, and then again, the 2x3 plate. And if you position these on these studs, you're able to double stack each spot with minifigures. So in theory, you could get 144 minifigures in each case if you went through and did this. And I'd have to go through and do some testing to make sure that this is going to be compatible all the way throughout the entire case. I could see this affecting the roof of the case kind of when you put it down. And I'm thinking the one with the 1x2 brick might actually be a better height than the 2 plates. But just wanted to see a different combo of that, and I'll test it in the middle where the 2 sides kind of angle into each other. And let's test it out. I connected on the middle stud of the 2x3. And sorry, just looking at it from the front is a little hard. If I was looking at the side, it might be a little easier. Looks like the minifigures kind of bump into each other in the middle. So You could do it for every other section of the case. Just the middle one, you probably just want to have one minifigure there. You can still expand this by like 50 minifigures, I think. Not actually doing the math, just kind of guesstimating there. But I think that is kind of nice. You are able to mess with this a bit. Obviously, it will make it look a little less professional, but if you want to fit more minifigures and don't want to buy as many cases, this is going to be an easy way to come up with a solution to expand your storage space. If you do just want one minifigure in each spot, you can use one of the Friends minifigure leg holders. It'll connect to the studs, and then that way this part gets stressed and not the Lego minifigures. So you can go ahead and buy enough of those to fill up the whole case. And of course, after you fill the whole case, you're going to put on the lid, and you just have to lift it over, match up the corners. This is where we will see if there will be any issues with the height of the top of the minifigures. And it does look like if you wanted to do the double stack method that I pointed out, you will be able to fit minifigures at the top row still. And just the final touches for getting the lid on are just massaging the corners to get the parts to fit in and press down completely. So you get a nice open area here for all your minifigures. It'll be very easy to keep it lit up since there won't be as many shadows since it is completely clear. And another reason why I'm excited about these cases is because it is the same width as the minifigure cases I previously had. So I would basically be able to stack my old cases on top of these ones and then push it to the back of the table. So I'm gaining all that extra minifigure space here where I'll get 72 different minifigure slots versus the 32 here. And I got 3 of these cases, so I'll do 3 across. So basically 200 minifigure slots at the bottom row. And I can also stack 3 of these 32 ones. So I'll have room for 300-ish minifigures in my cases. Big expansion there. And then I'll have, I don't know if I want to do the 2 stack for these on top of these, just because I would worry about it tipping a lot more. But I can kind of throw those other minifigure cases in a different room, different shelf, something like that. But gonna have a bunch more room for minifigures, and that is what I was looking for here. After a couple hours, live streaming my progress, I was able to get all of the figures pretty much that I wanted in these cases, but as it always ends up being, you run out of space and you gotta keep buying. But the investment for double stacking each of these cases definitely helped me, since I was able to put basically twice as many figures into the case. Benefits of these ones for sure are that it's very easy to see all the figures since they aren't kind of covering each other up like in the sort of cabinet type ones that I had. But also, it's going to be pretty dust free. These are definitely going to be very sturdy, where those other ones, since they are more vertical, could definitely tip over when they're stacked. One of my concerns for these cases was actually getting the minifigures out, which I haven't had a problem with. There are the 4 screws at the top of the lid that you could tighten on, and then that would be that. But for me, left those unscrewed, so it's a lot easier for me just to lift up the top panel of the case, reach in, grab a minifigure. I did use the sort of foot panel parts, so you can pull it out, put it back in. One of the bummers of these sort of pieces is that some of the minifigures' legs that they have printing on them have been taken off, put back on, so their level of tightness or looseness just varies figure to figure, but that would be a problem with any case if you do that method. And I've had no issue again. Slide it back on, you kind of got to jiggle around a little bit to get it to fit in the corners, but you could also pull up the entire lid if you really needed to. But for my case, and when I have them doing just holding minifigures, not going to be something I'll do very often, but I am very happy with these. End up keeping minifigures in these cases to work with these ones, where I can stack them like that and display even more of my collection, which is another big benefit. I don't have to worry that I wasted money on these, since still using them, still gonna have a ton of figures in them. And since these are a little bit deeper and completely clear, I can still look at all the minifigures. Of course, when I have something on top of them, I do have to take this off to take the lid off. Not a huge step though, not going to be a big negative to me, and I just get to display even more of my collection. So more figures are being safely stored in a dust-free environment, and it'll be a lot easier for me at the end of the video when I do my comparisons. I can find stuff a lot easier, and I can actually track what I do have. Not that it ever really happens to me, but just in case I'm not sure if I have something or not, boom, everything is right here, easy to look at. But let me know, case solutions wise, are there any questions you might have Of course, if you want to see the step-by-step process that I did for organizing these, check out the links for the live streams that I did. And I would definitely recommend these cases, but these cases are great too as an official Lego sort of solution. Let me know in the comments though, what do you use? What are you interested in using? If you want to see more custom Lego minifigure videos or reviews, check out all the videos on my channel. I have been Brooke Radiap, and I will see you in the next video.